LEGO has finally officially revealed the LEGO Ninjago Summer 2025 sets, which means I get to finally talk about these sets that I have definitely not seen before from any possible sources, because they definitely did not leak months ago, because something like that would not happen to LEGO under any circumstances. But listen, for the first time in a while, this is a wave where I genuinely feel like there are no bad sets. There are definitely some badly priced sets, but there are also a lot of great builds here, so let's find out which ones are the best. The Juniors card double pack is fine by Junior standards. It comes with an exclusive J, so I think that's going to get some people that otherwise would have not cared about this set to actually go and buy it. But honestly, to me, the most interesting thing about the set are these new flick-fire missiles. I had no hope for the Ninja Combo vehicle at all when I heard the rumor for it, because it was a 561 piece set for $90, and in case you forgot, just last year, LEGO did pretty much this exact same thing, and it was horrible. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually pretty happy with this set. I like the build a lot. It splits into 3 vehicles instead of 4, which I think is totally fine. I really like the 2 bike builds they did. Both of them look great, and they're actually pretty big, which is nice. And I also really like the subtle differences with Wildfire's bike having these blue cheese slopes and the blue flame pieces, while Kai's has these orange-red ones. It's a small differentiator, but it also references the difference in their powers, which I think is a cool detail. The other build is this jet, which I think is good, but it's definitely the worst of the vehicles personally, at least to me. Honestly though, I'm so glad they didn't try to force in a 4th vehicle here like they did with the one from last year, because I have no idea what they would have done for a 4th one, and these 3 vehicles are pretty solid, so why ruin a good thing? My favorite version of this set though is definitely the fully combined one. I think fully combined this set looks great. It's such an interesting build. It kind of has these tank vibes. I just really like the way it came out. Also, I want to shout out the mini dragon build here as well. It's nothing too crazy. I just really like that it's included. But without a doubt, the star of the show here is Frack, who is appearing in a Ninjago set for the first time. And interestingly enough, he does have this new head mold, so instead of using the snake head piece that kind of I feel like everyone just expected him to have because we already had that piece from the Evo sets, they have this brand new hood mold, and I actually think that's cool. I like the idea of having a hood mold for Frack, especially long term. I think long term it'll probably be better to have a hood mold just because it'll match better with the other Ninja. But I think most people would have preferred to just see the regular snakehead mold, because that's pretty much how you see Frack in the show all the time. That's how we've been introduced to Frack. So not getting that, I definitely think is not great for the first Frack minifigure ever, although I don't think long term, I think the hood mold is probably going to be the better play. Also, Cole is an exclusive here as well, so you know, that's cool, but unfortunately, the price for this set is a total scam. This set got a price increase going from $90 to $100, and it is just not worth it. Even at the original $90 price, it wasn't worth it. But the one nice thing I can say is that I think it's less of a scam than the one from last year. This is the one I think will surprise people the most, because I think a lot of people probably really like Rogue's Mech Rider Dragon, and look, I said before I don't think there's any bad sets in this wave, and I meant that. This I do think is a good set, but I also think this set is kinda lazy, because when I look at this set, all I see is just a downsized version of Jiro. I mean, just look at it. The leg build is exactly the same, but smaller. It's got the exact same head mold used in the exact same way, but it's got a new lightning piece coming out of the side now. The entire stature of this thing is the same. The only real key differences here is the color scheme, but this one being primarily white, and these thrusters. So, you know, I guess this one is now technically a mech dragon, and then of course, obviously, this one is smaller. But if you're a big J fan, aren't you at least a little bit disappointed that the brand new J Dragon is basically just a smaller gimmick version of the last J Dragon? Like, honestly, had this been for any other Ninja, I probably would have been more of a fan of it, but for J specifically, it just kind of feels like a retread. But there is more to the set than just the dragon. You do get an Evo style mech, and I actually think this is pretty interesting for an Evo mech. The cockpit is angled forward, which I think is pretty cool. He's got this shoulder cape thing, which I also really like. And they gave him the sandal feet, which if you remember, they did that on the Lloyd and Arin combo mech. And on that set, it was a little bit of a stability issue. But on this set, being much smaller and much lighter, I don't think there's going to be any problems here. So I do think that is fine. Also, I do want to say, I think they missed an opportunity to give this mech a rice hat build like they did with the Bone Evo mech. I think if they did that, it would have just been a cool way to match the Rogue minifigure. It's not something that makes this set any worse, but I think it would have been cool if they did that. But once again, the definite highlight of this set is found in the minifigures with Rox, who is exclusive, and she actually has mid-legs, which I think is kind of cool because I think she's the first Ninjago minifigure to ever have mid-legs, so that's something that's kind of cool to see. But yeah, she is a great minifigure, and we get her here for the first time, so that's pretty cool to see. But what really kills this set beyond anything else is once again the price. $75 for this set. Yeah, total scam. Rontu is the set that I've seen people clown on the most out of any of these new sets, and the problem with it is that LEGO pretty much had to make a choice. They had to choose if they wanted this set to match the Eagle set that it's already officially released, or if they wanted to have it match the show. And this Rontu set matches that Eagle set far more than Rontu in the show, which is the exact reason that people do not like it. Really, more so than anything else, I think it comes down to the neck. Rontu in the show has this giant neck, and this set just does not have that. It's got literally the most normal neck build you've ever seen. And like I said earlier, it's because they wanted this to be more like the official Eagle set, and so you can see it all over the design language. And honestly, I am totally fine with that, but there's a lot of people that did not want to see that be the approach for this set, which I honestly get as well. My only real issue with the build of this set is the Evo joints. They look just so bad on this set. They really didn't try anything to make this better. It is completely unarmored, and so it's just this awkward break in the legs that is super thin, and it just looks really bad. Also, this is another set that is a little bit overpriced at $50. Not horrible, but probably about $10 more than it should be. But I will say, if there are any Zark fans left after Bro got exposed for being the absolute biggest fraud in Season 3, this is now the cheapest set to get him in. Arin's Spinjitzu BattleMech is the latest of the elemental style of mechs, and I think it's actually my favorite one that they've done. It's still using the same idea as the other ones, so yes, if you're wondering, you can split this one apart and kind of mix and match with the other mechs, which obviously that's cool. You want to see that consistency still exist even a year later, but the actual build here I think is really good. The asymmetry with the black arm looks awesome, and I really love how the whole design of this mech matches that Arin minifigure. You know, you got the black arm, you have the pink highlights, it all just ties in with the Arin minifigure, which is super cool. And I also like how he has these sections on the back of his arms that stick out, kind of like the blades on the Sora mech. I just kind of like the idea that Sora and Arin's mechs, they have some form of commonality, because I kind of just like the idea of those two characters being tied together in some ways, while still having very distinct builds. Also, I think the weapons here are very good. It would have been really cool if they could have found a way to give this mech a grapple gun, but I think the hook is a good alternative, because a grapple gun would have been really hard to actually make work, even though that would have been so sick if they could have found a way. Also, minifigure section here is great as well. Now, I know some people think it's a little bit weird to get Baby Ryu because he's no longer a baby in the show, but I also think there's a ton of people out there that want to get that Baby Ryu minifigure piece, and so throwing it in a small set like this, I think that's totally fine. So yeah, this is just an incredibly solid mech and a solid set. I don't know if there's anybody out there who likes Kai's Motorcycle Speed Race as much as I do, because I think this is an incredible $10 set. It actually blows my mind how for such a small set with so few pieces, they managed to do so much. You get two minifigures in this set with the Special Dragonian and Kai, which is awesome, and this Kai minifigure is fully loaded up. He's got the brand new armor piece, he's got the new collectible sword piece. I mean, they didn't cut any corners at all when they absolutely could have done it in a small set like this. And you managed to get two bike sets in here, and they're actually both really solid. The Kai one in particular is really good. It just came out really well, and the Dragonian one, it's definitely worse, but it's not bad. And once again, for a $10 set in the smallest set of the wave, this is honestly an incredible value. The Guardian Dragon is one of the two new Ninjago Legends sets from this wave, and let me say, Ninjago Legends is looking awesome. It's the brand new sub thing, but these sets are pretty much just like 18 plus sets, even though I mean technically they're not, but that's pretty much the vibes you get from this set, and it is extremely clear from this set in particular. This set, it is built on this really nice mountain base with this really nice water detailing and this pagoda on the side, this whole just display thing that looks honestly really nice. And then you have this giant dragon. and the dragon on the surface looks amazing. So much detail here. Really cool shaping in the torso, especially this area where it bends. I mean, it is just a phenomenal looking dragon build. Maybe even the best Ninjago dragon just in terms of display. But that is pretty much all this set has going for it, because outside of display, this set is extremely limited. And when I say extremely limited, I am not exaggerating here. I mean, LEGO themselves in basically every image of this set only have it in one pose, and it is not as bad as that. You can pose this set a little bit. The arms do technically have full articulation, although I think the shoulders are going to be very limited because this round piece on the top of the shoulders is so close to the body that I think even though the ball joint is there, I think you're going to have to move that piece out of the way and it's just going to look really awkward. But the elbows and wrists have full articulation, the head and neck has articulation, the tail has articulation, but that is it. The legs are locked into place, and even if you wanted to take this dragon off the stand, it is not going to be able to stand up on its own because the legs are designed to be offset specifically to connect to the stand, and honestly, I am okay with that for the most part. There's only one thing that I desperately wish this set had, and that is hip articulation. If you could bend this set forward on the stand so you could have it more in this flying pose instead of constantly in this upright pose, I think that would have made this set pretty much perfect. But unfortunately, that is not a thing you can do. It is pretty much locked into the one pose, and I do think it looks great in that one pose, but I would have liked to see just a little bit more. Also, you do get one minifigure in the set, which is this exclusive Woo, which I think is pretty cool, although I also think it's kind of funny because this set screams a Lloyd set, but there's just no Lloyd minifigure here at all, which, again, doesn't matter, doesn't affect my opinion on this set, but I also just think that's kind of funny. But this set, it is all in on being a display model, so I get why it is the way it is with the extremely limited posability, but it also does leave me a little bit disappointed because if it could do just a little bit more, this would have been all time. This set is pretty much the Ninjago version of Starcream. It is a mech that can transform into a jet, kinda like that Sora set from a couple years ago, but let's talk about the mech form first. I think this looks very solid. My favorite thing about it is actually the color scheme. I think the dark green mixed in with the light yellow looks really good, especially in the arms with the shoulder section and the swords, and it's not something I would have expected because they haven't done a color scheme like this before, but I just really like how it came out. Also, I really like how even in the mech form, it still has all kinds of jet vibes, especially with the panels on the sides of the arms. And once again, it is very reminiscent of that Sora set, especially the cockpit area, which looks almost pulled out of that set. But my favorite form here is definitely the jet form. This looks awesome. It pretty much gives me Quinjet vibes, especially from the wings and the front of it. And there's also a lot of sticker detailing here as well that you wouldn't see on the mech side, but on the jet side, it adds so much to it. I think if the stickers weren't there, those giant panel pieces would probably look very plain and kind of boring, but with the stickers, they're super detailed and actually kind of interesting. The only thing that I'm not sure about in terms of the jet build is the thrusters. The thrusters come from the leg of the mech, so they kind of stick up pretty far on the back, so I think that could look awkward, but I am more than willing to forgive that because a transformation feature is such an awesome thing to have, but it is also something that is extremely difficult to design into a set. And not only did they manage to design it into this set, but it is extremely easy to do. It's even easier than the Sora set, even though that set was smaller. And I think having maybe a little bit awkward thrusters on the back is more than worth it to have a really seamless transformation. This set also does come with this dragon build, which I absolutely love. I think this thing is just so cool. It's got this super skeletal design with the wings and the ribcage, and it uses the Rising Dragon Strike headpiece in white, which is a new color for it, and I think that looks great. But that's not all when it comes to the dragon, because this dragon, it can actually split apart to combine with Thunderfang, which for this set alone doesn't really matter, but it's just another testament to the design of this thing, because that is not something they needed to do. Nobody would have cared if this dragon couldn't combine with Thunderfang, but this dragon can, and now we have something that can at least kind of represent Spectral Thunderfang in set form, which is just great to see. And also, the minifigures on this set are great as well. Tier is exclusive here, and I really do like the white headpiece. Also, this set comes with Kerr, who has arm printing, which again, not something I expected, but awesome to have, and It's just overall so good. The set did though unfortunately see a price increase going from $100 to $110, which by the way, I do not think $110 is a bad price for the set. I think it's totally fair. I think it's worth it. But had this set stayed at $100, this 100% would have been my favorite set of the wave. This is the second of the Ninjago Legends sets, and this one kind of takes the opposite approach. It still has a cool display stand with this tentacle monster thing that actually kind of reminds me of the Obelisk build from this Milano set from like however many years ago, but it's got a lot of cool detailing like this boat tipping over on its side. It's got the dock build. But obviously the main draw here is the mech, and this mech is awesome. My number one favorite thing about this is the cape. Specifically the way they have it angled, it pretty much gives me the vibes of like the Mandalorian walking through the desert, his cape's flowing in the back. Like that's the type of thing I see when I look at this mech. And I almost wish that they went even further with it and they made the cape kind of like a half mask for the mouth of the mech, where you know, this red section around the head, if that was the cape, I think that would have been even cooler, but I mean, that's just something that, again, it doesn't really matter, but I think would have been just so cool. I also really like the small details on this mech as well, you know, like you have this lantern on the torso, you have the subtle flares of the shoulders matching the flare of the knees, and then you have the fire sticking out of the back of the mech's head. Just so much about this set is great, but I said this set takes the opposite approach of the Guardian Dragon, and the reason for that is this set has a ton of posability. The legs are just like Cole's Dragon Titan mech, the knees bend, the ankles have pistons on the back so they have full articulation, and it even has this section just below the hips where you can see the legs are able to rotate. I think it is most clear in this picture right here where you can see the left leg, it is completely straight, but the right leg is slightly rotated, so that is a great piece of articulation to have. The arms here, those are a little bit weird because they do have all the points of articulation, but the cape is connected to the shoulders, so I wonder how much the cape will affect the shoulder movement. They do have pictures that show you the weapon arm rotated all the way back, so I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but we'll see once we have the set in person if that does make it a little bit restricted. Also, one last thing I want to mention about the build, I love how the base plays into the knee articulation. LEGO wants you to pose this thing with the knees fully bent, and I love that. Also, 2 exclusive minifigures here, including this awesome new Kai, which I really like. But yeah, these 2 Ninjago Legends sets, they are by far the most interesting sets of the wave, at least to me, and I'm very curious to see the reactions to these sets because I want to see, you know, what people think, because this set, this is more of just a normal Ninjago mech, but, you know, with the display base, well, the dragon is purely a display set, so it'll be interesting to see which approach people end up liking more, but this set in particular is one of the greatest mechs of all time. The Temple Bounty is the biggest set of the wave at an absolutely insane $200, but it is also my favorite. Honestly, I don't think this set is badly priced at $200. It just seems crazy to me that for a regular set, not even a direct consumer or anything else, just a regular retail Ninjago set is $200. Just insane. But yeah, this is a great set. It is clearly heavily influenced from the Ninjago movie Destiny's Bounty. I mean, it's pulling that 3-sail design directly from that set. It has the lanterns across the middle like that set, but it also has a lot of features that are unique to just this one. Like this room on the front of the bounty. Every other bounty only has sections in the back. The thrusters in the back, those are able to split open to reveal these sails. That's something no other bounty has ever done, and I think it's a clever way to give this some sort of opening sail function because you can't do that with the 3-sail design that you have here. But also, most importantly, I think this might be the Destiny's Bounty with the most space ever. The deck uses these door pieces so they can be flipped open to give you quick access to the interior, but you can also just pull the whole thing out like the other ones. And there's just a ton of details inside as well, like this bar area, which is cool, and then also weapons on the side, but again, just so much usable space here. I think the most interesting part of the main build though is the dragon. Instead of having a dragon head on the front, the dragon actually flows throughout the entire bounty from the front to the back, which I think is cool. And even though it is a part of the ship, it's not exactly attached to it either. It kind of just floats above it while still being a part of it. I'm really curious to see how that looks in person because that's something I could definitely see being cool once you have it in hand, but also looking kind of weird. But without a doubt, the number one craziest thing about this set is that it comes with a stand. I mean, that's just insane to me because no Destiny's Bounty has ever come with a stand. Nobody's ever thought like, oh man, I need a stand for my Destiny's Bounty, but this one has it. And that's something that's super interesting, but also really cool because it lets you pose the set at a different angle. And if you wanted to, you don't have to use the stand. You can just pose it flat like the other ones. So technically doesn't matter that much, but such an interesting inclusion to me. Now, time will tell with this one, but this is without a doubt top 2 Destiny's Bounty and maybe even the best one ever.